Hello, YouTube. It is Thursday night, and we're going to play a little bit of Phantasy Star Online. Now, I've already checked on Dreamcast Now, and it appears as though there's still quite a few players playing tonight. So hopefully we'll be able to start up a game and have a little bit of fun. I'm going to try one thing when we get online, too. I'm going to go to Altamira. I'm going to go to the Garon's Quest. And I'm going to see if I can upgrade a couple of weapons, because when we were speaking with Kuroheim last time, they mentioned that it was the Altamira ship that you want to be on, not Vega. I had them confused. But we've got 250 photon points that are just going to waste, because every time we earn a quest, we get more. And unfortunately, you can only carry a max of 250. So we're going to cash out. We're going to upgrade probably our Yasminkov and see if we can add plus 30 attributes to maybe dark forest, maybe. Yeah, why not? We'll do forest as well. If we want to change it, we can upgrade it another time, so not a big deal. But yeah, I think that's the plan when we first get on. We'll try that out. Otherwise, wow, pretty dry out there in terms of pickups. I was watching this recent episode of Lazy Game Reviews. I've been watching that channel for quite some time. Clint seems like a pretty decent folk, and he does this LGR thrifts thing. And I watched a little bit more of those when there was like Pat the NES Punk doing it, and the LGR thrifts episodes, just because I do a lot of thrifting myself, obviously, and I'm always curious to see what other people are finding out there. Occasionally, I do run into some people that are quite aggressive. So it would be quite interesting to see if any of those guys ever add that to their channel, because there's always those daily pickers that tend to I don't know, like as soon as bins and things come out, they're ripping them apart because they're just looking for whatever. It's interesting, like I don't have a real knack for jewelry identification, but I see these two guys at this one thrift store I go to, and I go pretty regularly, at least 4 or 5 times a week. And they're there every morning, because sometimes I'll stop off on my way to work, because I kind of start late sometimes. And they're there every morning, and they're pawing through the jewelry. They've got a little digital scale, and they've got their magnifying glasses. And I don't know, it must be lucrative, but to me, like, it seems like a lot of, I don't know, if you weigh what you're going to make at the end of the day based on how much time you're spending in a thrift store, because like I said, I know these guys show up in the morning, and sometimes I don't go in the morning. Sometimes I'll go late afternoon, like around 1 or 2, and they're still there. And sometimes I go on my way home after 5, and they're still there. So like every day these guys are there, and they're always pawing through the jewelry. Occasionally they pick up odds and ends too. Clearly they're there to flip, which is fine, but I just wonder, like, how much money can you possibly make to justify spending your entire day at a thrift store? Because a lot of this stuff is pre-processed, like especially when you're dealing with value villages. There's the donation bin, but then there's the things that come in the trucks, and the things that have come in on the trucks, those have generally been picked through by staff, and things have been processed. What is obviously valuable has been separated or stolen, and then the rest of it hits the floor, and it's either marked up appropriately or it's marked up to significantly less. Like I've picked up things that are ridiculously cheap, and I do, obviously I've talked about it in the past, like I do a lot of flipping and stuff like that on eBay, but it's typically, everybody kind of, when you mention that you do that little bit of flipping, some people can think that you're a reseller and stuff like that, and fair enough. I mean, that has a pretty negative connotation, but I always try to give it a fair price based on market value. Like if market value is saying a game is $50, I'll sell it for 30 because I probably picked it up for 5. I'm making a little bit of cash on the side, but also the person that buys it is buying it for significantly less than anybody else is willing to sell for. So I don't know, I kind of justify it that way. I do belong to a couple of groups where occasionally I've found in my neighborhood, boxes of vintage toys. Like I found this box of Generation 1 Transformers one day when I was walking back from work. And, I posted it that I'd found it. I said most of these were available for trade or sale, and you would be shocked by the amount of private messages I received from people just ripping me apart because I was trying to sell them stuff that I'd found, as if, it was some sort of altruistic duty of mine to give people these items for free if they wanted it. I was asking significantly less than what the market was commanding. Like, for instance, I found like a Generation 1 Devastator complete with everything, stickers, guns, all the works, which generally goes on eBay for about $100+ I wanted 15, and I still got flack for that. So can't win for trying, I suppose. But anyways, I went on this bit of a tangent. Just wanted to say it was kind of dry out there, and a lot was reflected on this recent LGR video I watched, where he was talking about putting together these thrift videos and how they're not all done in one shot. Like, generally there's a lot more misses than hits, and that's 100% true. The hits I've had are few and far between. Definitely had a lot more misses, and this week is definitely a miss week. Didn't find too much out there. Did find a couple of cool things, but nothing too mind-blowing and outstanding. So I'll get to those a little bit later. Actually, you know what, I'll show you something right now just for fun before we get into the game. So just a couple of vinyls I found out there, which I kind of enjoy. So here is the Dokken Dream Warriors Nightmare on Elm Street 3 original soundtrack. I figure, why not? If you're a fan of Canadian heavy metal, then you probably know of Rockin' Dokken. It's absolute cheese, but it's got a pretty cool cover, and it's official, Nightmare on Elm Street horror product. So and which is in direct contrast to the next one, which is Brian Ferry's Boys and Girls. So if you don't know who that is, he's the lead singer for Roxy Music, which I'm not a fan of, but I really love that track Slave to Love on here. So it's pretty cool. And here's one that I guarantee nobody's heard of, but I love this band, Martha and the Muffins. So you're probably wondering yourself, like, who are these people and why should I care? So this is a Canadian new wave band, and they had one cool track back in the 80s called Echo Beach. I suggest you watch it. They actually do a recent acoustic cover of that track, which is pretty nice as well. But anyways, nice little bit of Canadian Anna there. So I'll put these to the side, and let's go right to the gaming screen, and let's see who we can find. Okay, cool. So we got some people in the chat as well. Excellent. Hey, welcome aboard there, folks. Well, hopefully not everybody's going to go to bed too early. I know that there's a few people right now that are currently waiting on some of the ships, and they are looking for more people to help out. So let's go see what we can do. So as always, we go to our list, Phantasy Star Online, and here we go. Another thing I'm going to have to do this week is take some time and actually start dumping all the zip files onto this USB key. To be honest, I've been really distracted lately with my PlayStation Portable. I think I showed you guys that last week. I picked it up at a Goodwill for next to nothing. And anyways, I haven't really been playing any PSP games, but it is a fantastic emulator. And I believe I might have mentioned it in the past. I've never actually completed certain games that I've had for quite some time. Like, I've had Final Fantasy VII since its release, but I've just never completed it. And a lot of that has to do with it's such a big, immense game that I can't sit down in front of a television, even 20 years ago, and spend that much time dedicated to a console game. I've always liked games, but until I started playing things like Phantasy Star, and especially with the live streaming, I've always found it really difficult to just kind of spend the amount of time needed to complete one of those games to its fullest. So, I've always started up, I've generally got past disc 1, and then I've told myself, this is going to be the time I'm going to finally complete it. And, I just get distracted with something else. Maybe it's another game. Maybe I get stuck on, like, I don't know, some part of the game, and I just don't feel the need to, like, look at YouTube tutorial. I guess back in the day when I was playing it, there wasn't anything like that available. But, you get stuck, you get frustrated, and you just give up and move on. But now that I have this on the PSP, like, I've been, especially with sleep mode, which is amazing because, before you'd have to find a save state, and as you know, in Final Fantasy VII, that's not always as available as you'd like. So putting it in sleep mode is really handy. I can put it on the subway, and my subway ride's like 20 minutes or something like that. Don't necessarily have enough time to find a save state, but I can flick it once really quick, put it into sleep mode, pick it up whenever. So that's what I've been kind of doing on and off for the last week anyways, and I've been getting pretty far. And the one downside to playing games like especially Final Fantasy VII is that it appears as though this person's not responding. Let's see if we can find the team. Is that some of the sprites and things that you have to find are quite small, so it's kind of difficult at times to find what you're looking for. Fortunately, with Final Fantasy VII, if you hit select, it'll put a little arrow beside the things that you need to collect. Okay, awesome. Cool, this is going to be a wicked team. Hey, all. Wow. Okay, so it said Kuro, but I don't know if Kuro left the game or is planning on joining. So let's see if that pipe is valid. Okay. Is that telepipe good? You are welcome. Happy Thanksgiving. It's actually not Thanksgiving here in Canada, but I guess in the US it's going to be Thanksgiving soon. Yellow. Okay, cool. Oh, it vanished. There we go. And yes, you are welcome for keeping PSO alive. I'm doing my best anyways. It's it's been around a lot longer online than I think anybody would have imagined, but I'm glad that by putting it on the live streams and things like that recently, more and more people have been getting interested in it. So it makes me happy that I'm doing something positive for the community anyways. Okay, so let's go find our friends here. You know what's funny? That happened to me once, because this actually isn't the first PSP I've found. I did find a PSP 2000 once before, and I could not get it to power on. I bought new batteries for it, didn't work. It wouldn't work if you put in the power supply. I brought it to a couple of people to check out, and I don't know, people just said, yeah, sometimes those things brick. So I know one reason that sometimes those things brick. Congrats. Is if you're in the middle of a firmware update and say the power runs out or something like that, it can cause your system to brick. Like you'll generally get those warnings on your PSP or DS saying system's updating, please plug into AC power supply in case battery's low or something to that effect. And I think that's specifically for that reason. They just want to make sure that you're oh shit, I don't have my bag. Shoot, forgot my mag. BRB. Item. Telepipe. Okay, cool. So anyways, I don't know if that's what happened to you, but I know that it happens to a few folks and it kind of sucks. It's definitely a design flaw of that system. They should create like a backup image while they're putting on the new firmware, so that way in the event things do crash, you don't lose the original image. But I'm not a very techie person that way. Okay, so we really want to build up our Dreamcast mag at some point too, but I don't think I'm going to be doing it in this particular game. I'm going to work on that, I think, next game. We'll see what happens. Kuro did say start feeding it Dimates, so we'll definitely start on that, but we'll use this for a little bit longer. Maybe I'll bring the sync up to 100, just that way we're locked in, and then maybe I can trade it off. Okay, what do we got here? Monomates and item mag, choo-choo, quip. Perfect. Okay, sweet. Now we're cooking with gas. All right, anything here we can use? No, nope. All right, where'd everybody go? Where did everybody go? We must have backtracked quite a bit. Yeah, Metal Gear Solid. So the original game is definitely something that I've always wanted to complete. Again, never really got around to it, but I do have it on my PSP now. I have a couple different versions of that game. Actually, it's the same game, but a couple different copies. I have the box set for PS2, which includes the original Metal Gear Solid, plus it includes... Where did everybody go? The original version of Metal Gear Solid on PS1. And it's a pretty good collection, but I also own Metal Gear Solid on the PS1 as a standalone copy, which at one point was actually going for quite a bit, but the price has significantly dropped on that. Okay, where did everybody go? I can't find anyone. Oh shit, they're way up there. Okay, did they end up hitting a... I wonder if they just ground right through this, or if they ended up using a warp somewhere. It's a possibility. Ah, okay, there's... Okay, where are we going? Hey, Robert, welcome aboard, man. Alright, let's see if this is... Item, area map. Well, for fuck's sakes, they're right back there. Sorry, guys. Fuck, I'm lost. There we go. Okay, now we got our team back. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Let's see what we can... Ooh. I don't think I can use that, but that might be able to... I should probably build up my setup and run it pretty low lately. No! I forgot which warp is right. Alright, no problem. I never know. I never know. Alright, where are we going, guys? What's this? Anything we can use? Nope. Alright. Going around here. Now I think we're going to just end up right back to where we started. It looks like we're missing a player too. So let's see if we can collect everybody and... Yellow, got it. Okay, sweet. Okay. So somebody's obviously in here. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, and look at somebody's buffed me, so we are really doing a lot of damage. Excellent. Oh, cool. I like that fan. That's a pretty cool little weapon. It would be nice to start up a character that can use melee weapons, but because sometimes I feel as though these long-range weapons, they're good if you can find yourself a spot to snipe, but more often than not, you're going to be cornered by enemies, and you're not very good at using the melee weapons. You're going to be a lot of trouble, especially if you don't have a good group with you. Okay, bang, bang, bang. Holy shit, wow, we're going to be making bank with the XP. How many Meseta is $1 Canadian? Good question. Well, I can tell you that 1,000 yen is about 10 bucks. So, assuming this is made, well, it wasn't made in China, but assuming the Japanese currency is fairly similar, let's say 100 to 1. The only reason I kind of know that is because I've tried to buy things off of Yahoo auctions, and if you haven't tried that before, it's a little bit deceiving. A lot of the items do go for really cheap, extremely cheap, but the shipping is outrageous. So you can get a lot of cool Japanese exclusive Dreamcast things on Yahoo auctions, but you know, you'll get like a console for $5, and then you find out the shipping is going to cost you 90. So I don't know, it's just not worth it. I guess you just have to have a good connection that's willing to ship Surface. But it's weird because I've had people at times ship me things from Japan, and for whatever reason, I mean, they've been able to figure out a way to ship things for next to nothing. I bought a complete Dreamcast Japanese console with like 12 games, a couple of controllers, and a bunch of VMUs and things like that. And the guy only charged me $15 to ship it, and it arrived. So, you know, I don't understand shipping. Sometimes when I'm shipping stuff that I sell on eBay, oh yeah, that's right. We want to use star atomizers. What are we doing, guys? There we go. Perfect. Pop, 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 pop. And that character's got a hamburger mag. Look at that. Choo-choo mag, hamburger mag. What else? We got any other fun mags going on tonight? Doesn't look like it. Okay. Bang, bang. Alright, did that do anything? No. Hey, we unlocked the door. Let's see if this does anything. Nope. Somebody run over to here. Hey, we did it. Yay. Cool. Well, I'm glad that the streams helped you get interested in Phantasy Star Online. Now, like I mentioned before, when I started doing that tutorial to show people how to get online, which is fairly outdated, there's a lot of it that is still pretty accurate. Like, I mean, if you want to get on that way, it's fully like you can. There's no problem with it. It's just that PC Wizard in particular has made it so much easier to get online. You don't have to build a line voltage inducer. For the time it would take you to build one, you're almost better off just to buy his for $30 and you know, you don't have to worry about a battery. Now, that being said, I got rid of the battery shortly after I completed my initial design and just used a 9 volt power supply with a 500 milliamps, and that's just basically like a 9 volt battery essentially. And yeah, that worked quite well for quite some time. The only reason I really got rid of it was just because it kind of looked a bit ugly, but beyond that, I mean, it was completely effective. There was nothing wrong with it mechanically, or not mechanically, but like, you know, the actual design of it was fine. And I did build the USB line voltage inducer. I don't know if I was one of the first, but I think I posted up a picture about a year and a half ago, and I think people kind of got wise to it because I was having some troubles with it, but I think the troubles I had corresponded with a catastrophic failure I had on my computer at the time. But I don't believe it was the issue of the actual line voltage inducer, because it didn't make any sense why that would affect my computer the way it did. I think it was a computer virus that caused all these problems. But anyways, you know, I posted a picture on one of the Dreamcast forums. I can't remember what it was, and it was a pretty good little device. It's just that I never got around to making a tutorial on how to build it. And then I think it wasn't PC Wizard, I believe it was Tact who built one of the first ones, and it looked good, it worked, it was fine, but it used the 2 USB dongles. It used one to power the device, and it used a second to go into the Raspberry Pi to connect the actual modem. And then there was another one, and it had quite a long wire, and it didn't look terribly appealing, but then he built another one where it was 2 small USB connections that came directly out of the fax modem, and that looked pretty good. In fact, that's a perfectly fine design, the second generation model. And then somehow I haven't reverse engineered it or anything like that to take it apart to see how they did it, but I'm pretty confident I know how. Then they were able to just basically draw power from the USB connection that was also transferring the data. So it's one connection. It works really well. At first I thought I had a problem with it. Some of you might have watched that video that I put up. For whatever reason, it wasn't working, and it turns out it was just my line that was the problem. So my fault, not PC's product. His product is flawless. haven't had really any issues with it. It's actually, you know, it's a fantastic time to be in a Dreamcast. Almost more so than it would have been back in the day, to some extent. Now, I never played back in the day, so I can't speak for the crowd back there. But I do know online crowds and popular online gaming crowds, and sometimes these folks aren't too nice. You know, you play, you know, I've had experience with PSN and playing games like Diablo and stuff like that. And, you know, people can get quite aggressive, quite rude. Just genuinely unpleasant to play with. Now, I never got into the Call of Duty games or anything like that online, so I can't speak for that. And I didn't play any games online, like back in the day, like on, well, I did play a lot of PC. None of them had voice chat to the best of my knowledge. A lot of them had text, but, yeah, like nothing from like PlayStation 2 era when that was online or anything like that either. So I missed a lot of that generation. Now what I'm getting on with this big rant that's going nowhere is that when you have these big open platforms where anybody can get online that buys a copy, you know, you're going to get all sorts of different personalities. But right now with the Dreamcast being such a niche console and having such a limited group of people that are still committed to playing online, these are dedicated people. These are people that want to be online. They've put in a lot of effort to get online one way or another. Whether or not they've purchased a broadband adapter, they've purchased or built a DreamPi kit, or they're using like PC-DC connections. Like, they want to be online. They want to put out the extra money to be online. They're putting a lot of effort towards it. So that being said, if you just there to cause shit, you're probably not going to put in that much effort to get on to a Dreamcast game. Like, it's just simply not worth it. The amount of time and money and the amount of people that you actually connect with, on the grand scheme of things, you're far less likely to start trolling on these smaller scale games than, or see trolls rather, than on some of the larger platforms. So that's another reason I enjoy it. Everybody here is pretty cool. I've never met anybody that, you know, I've never played with anybody rather that I've not gotten along with, which is great. And some people, I think, some people seem to be a little bit more aggressive with other players than I may be, but you know, that's just me. And I think some of these people also are really experienced with quite volatile crowds. Because of that, their skin is pretty thick, so they don't care if somebody's just being, you know, sort of generally rude as opposed to being quite overtly rude. And I don't really have to get into that. You guys can kind of read between the lines and figure out what that means. Yeah, sorry, I'm just looking at the chat there because I realized I've been sort of neglecting you guys. Don't mean to. You can get banned on PSO now, like, because the community is so small and people typically know who the I shouldn't say good players are, but you know who the regulars are. If you're a person that goes around and, like, say you're playing with a team and you're playing with a really high ranked player, and you know, even at the highest rank you can still die and you drop your weapon. Well, if you're that kind of person that goes and picks it up and just steals it from that person, like if I was to steal whatever weapon Kuroheim is using, for instance, like that's just, I don't know, that's just rude. And you know, if they wanted to talk to Sir Tesla and be like, listen, I played with this guy, he stole my weapon, he won't give it back. You know, I haven't gotten that far because I've never done it, but I assume that there would be some sort of effort to return the weapon, and in the event that it's not returned, then you know, I guess you get banned. Like, apparently that's happened in the past with people that have caused problems like that. So it's not outside the realm of possibility. You can be restricted from playing certain games because you have a hacked item. Now, people that have watched the stream before have seen that happen, where I've tried to enter a game, and because somebody's given me an item from a previous game that I was unaware had a hacked item, it actually won't let me enter the quest. And I've had some of those items repaired, and some of those items have just been discarded completely because it basically just sets up a flag that you're using hacked items, and you know, if you're, since they're more or less banned, and you know, even if they're not banned, they're kind of dissuaded from being used. Like, I can't speak for the community as a whole. There might be some very clever people out there that are using hacked items, and they just, you know, are keeping a low profile about it. But on the most part, people typically just use stuff that they grind and find. Yeah, you know, just based on some of the forums I belong to, I mean, can't argue the fact that the Dreamcast fans are not a bunch of hardcore people. Like, some of the folks that I've met on there, oh my god, like, their collections are insane. I've got a fairly decent collection, mostly because I've concentrated on some rare items. I think I've shown you all the Sonic Limited Edition that I have that's complete. I've also shown you recently the Dreamcast official magazine issue 0 and issue 1 that I recently acquired. So those are definitely examples of super rare items that not a lot of people have. I am missing a couple of very core games, but I'm going to get to those eventually. I'm in no rush, particularly now that I have the USB GD-ROM. I can play all those games on here without having to burn them to disk. And you know, even though that's not a terrible inconvenience, and if you just do it once in a while, it's not going to cause a lot of damage to your Dreamcast. I just don't like having a lot of burned discs kicking around. It just clutters up the place, doesn't look so nice. So being able to fit everything on a USB stick, where not only are you saving space, but you know, you're playing the games quicker. The load times are as fast as they're ever going to be. Like, I couldn't imagine. I'm not sure if it's faster. Probably is faster to use the micro SD card, because I guess the read rate is probably quicker, but you're not going to really notice that. I mean, because the games were all built to work through the restrictions of having a disk-based medium, you know, anything that you do to reduce the read rate on it is okay. I'm going to stay put. Any way you reduce the read rate is only going to improve the game. You've probably noticed even now with Phantasy Star Online how significantly quicker this is. Oh, okay, I guess we're still staying here. Okay, well, let's just wait here until everybody's ready. And in case anybody's wondering what the green juice is, it's margarita night. Alright, I think we're good. Alright, sweet. Let's go and find the rest of the team. Cool, let's go. You know what? I could make a collection tour of my game room, but it's definitely not going to be as impressive as a lot of the other hardcore gamers out there. I mean, it's I watch channels like John Hancock and stuff like that, and you know, even the most I'm not going to say average or middle of the road, but people that are known gaming personalities, but maybe not necessarily known for their game rooms, still have significantly better game rooms than I have. So, you know, that said, yeah, I'll probably go over it one day. I've got to build one more shelf in my basement just to keep a couple of the items that I don't have fully displayed, particularly my Atari games and my Super Nintendo games. That's only because I very rarely play Atari, and the Atari games I do play are typically the same games every time. There's a couple of group games that I still play, like Combat's still fun if I have a couple people over. Pitfall 2 as just a single player side-scrolling action game is fantastic. In my opinion, the best game on the system. I don't have a copy of Hero, although like one, I have played that game in the past and it is a lot of fun. I should probably pick it up before it gets too expensive, because I think last I checked it was about a $50 game. And that was quite some time ago, but I also know it's gaining in popularity, and it's probably at the point now where it's going to be a who knows, it could be an $80 or $90 game. I haven't checked, so we'll have to do that one day. But other than that, I mean, I think most people are aware that the games on the system, like, it's an iconic system. Especially like the design, it looks amazing. Still looks amazing. That original Woody version, especially if you got a heavy sixer. I got a light sixer downstairs, and it looks fantastic. I've modded that with RCA out. I know you can mod it with things like S-Video out. But I find even with RCA, it improves the picture quality significantly, and the audio, like the RF signal that it comes with, is just, it's unusable at this point, especially if you got an HD TV. And I have an older HD TV that has built-in upscaler, because it's about, oh, for fuck's sakes, probably about 7 years old now, I guess. Yeah, because I had that television before I moved into my new place. And anyways, around that time when composite signals were still, you know, they were definitely on the way out, but it wasn't unheard of to have a composite device like a VCR or something hooked up. So because of that, a lot of those older televisions, older first generation LCD TVs have built-in upscalers, and it looks quite nice. I noticed that right away when I changed over from the Akura box in the basement to from S-Video to the high definition signal. There's definitely an improvement on the Akura box, but the S-Video signal I had going into the television still looked pretty good, especially from a distance. Now with this game right here, it looks really good because I'm using VGA out to an Atlona HD 500 upscaler, which is pretty much one of the best upscalers you can get. Really, it's flawless. I mean, the only issue I've ever had with it is the HDMI out. Sometimes, like, it doesn't seem to grip the HDMI cable very well, and occasionally it'll come loose and it'll start to flicker. But beyond that, I mean, the device has so many scaling options on it. It renders things lag-free, so it's a wonderful device if you can afford it and find it. It's quite expensive. I got mine new for about $150, but I think they've gone up in price quite a bit, only because Atlona's discontinued this particular version. I know they sell some sort of VGA to HDMI upscaler still, the different version. I don't quite know what it is, but let's just launch it. But it's also quite expensive as well. Atlona is one of those specialty companies that you know, everything they sell is you know, it's gonna last you a long time. You're not gonna have any problems, but it's like anything else. It's gonna cost you. You're gonna pay for that security, knowing you've got the best of the best. Okay, let's get out of here. And now that being said, you don't even have to worry about that anymore with the Akura box, which, by the way, I just want to remind you, isn't a 1080p signal. Now I can upscale my Dreamcast to 1080p 60 frames per second if I needed to, but the Akura box will only output a maximum of 480p over HDMI because it's a transcoder. It's still an extremely effective and handy device to have, especially if you don't want to have a lot of different boxes and things of that nature. But just be aware that unless your television has a built-in upscaler, or if you're like I think it was Ross in the Dreamcast Junkyard, he was showing the comparisons of the Akura box to some of the VGA displays and stuff like that. But he was also capturing his footage through a FrameMeister, which, you know, is, yeah, it's a FrameMeister. It's the top of the line upscaler. There's nothing currently available that's better than that. It's, I don't know what it does. There's like super light. They feel extremely cheap and flimsy, but they do an amazing job at upscaling picture. So you're upscaling HDMI because you kind of have to, and capturing it through an Elgato or something like that. And yeah, of course the picture looks brilliant. If it didn't look brilliant at that point, like if you're using the Akura through a Framemeister, then you know I don't know what you expect to get out of your picture. Okay. Zippy the Porcupine. Isn't that a homebrew release? Oh yeah, you mentioned that later on. Yeah, I think I've seen that. That's like a what's that? That's a clone of something, right? I think I've seen the box. It looks kind of, I know, it looks like a kid's kind of game, you know, like it's got that kind of aesthetic to it. It looks like fun anyway. The other option for Atari 2600, which I was considering at one point, was, and I probably still will because they're not exactly expensive, is the Harmony cartridge. So if you're not familiar with what that is, it's available at Atari Age, and it's just a flash cart for the Atari, and apparently it's fantastic. It works without a hitch. It supports every game, plus it'll also support some of the homebrews that use up, you know, like there's the improvements like Pac-Man 4K and stuff like that. You gotta remember, I think the maximum amount of space available on Atari cart was, what was it? It was something extremely small. It was in the kilobytes anyways. Because I know that Super Nintendo, I think those were 418 kilobytes. Or no, Nintendo. I think most Super Nintendo games were about a meg and a half, unless they were one of those games that required like the SF or the FX chip or something like that, or used what were those graphics called again? I can't remember exactly what the graphics acceleration was on it. But most of those games were about a meg and a half. But I think the Atari games were something like between like 4K to something like, I think like a max of 10K. Don't quote me on that exactly, but I know they didn't go up very high. And if you've ever played Pac-Man on Atari, like, it's an abysmal port. There's no getting around that. It's not unplayable. It's just, it doesn't look nice. It looks crappy. Especially if you go from the arcade game, which most people were. You've got to keep in mind this game was released in tandem with the arcade release back in the day, and I think most people were expecting the arcade experience at home because that's kind of what the Atari was offering at that time. And clearly this was a subpar port of a very, very good arcade game. Now that said, the port of Ms. Pac-Man on Atari is quite good, but the original is terrible. So you can buy a 4K, now this is 4 kilobyte, this isn't 4K as in 4K resolution. You can buy a 4K version of Pac-Man that's been flashed to a cart on Atari Age as well. They actually have quite a few interesting games there. I've always kind of debated whether or not I want to drop $50 and buy Halo 2600, which, in case you don't know, is Halo ported to the Atari 2600, and you can just imagine what that's like. And yeah, it's pretty simple. It's mostly Halo in name alone. Don't expect anything too extravagant, but it's a fun little game for what it is. The only other game I've really ever liked on Atari as a solo experience is definitely Adventure. Adventure is a lot of fun. In case you don't know, there are multiple quests that you can play in Adventure. Simply by hitting the reset button a couple of times, you can trigger the different events, or the different quests rather. As soon as you know the quest pattern, it's pretty simple, but it's a lot of fun to figure out. You know, it's a fetch quest type game. You know, you need one item to find another item, and I should have probably got that hero ability. Damn. Oh well, no big deal. Okay, cool. Let's pick that up. Maybe I can use that. Maybe I can't. But yeah, that's definitely a fun game as well. Even some other games like Battlezone, that was, I don't know, I think anyways, pretty revolutionary for the time. I can remember playing that as a kid when it was not first released. I was born in '81, and I probably played it when I was around 5 or 6 years old. So it'd been out for some time. But you know, using wireframe 3D graphics on an Atari, it's pretty fantastic. So they had wireframe for the actual tank that you drove in, and then they sort of used I guess you like, I don't know how you describe the graphics exactly, but they, as the image was going over, it was basically came in, I think, like 4 frames. So the image would come out, start as a block in the distance, and as you approach closer, it would increase in size by, I believe, 4 different frames. And anyways, oh, I'm gonna go back to town real quick. Oh, I guess I can't because I'm too close. Okay, let's just do that right here. Oh, cool, there's a port already. Let's just grab that one instead. But yeah, that's quite a fun game. What was the other one? I think it was what was it called again? Star Raiders? That was a pretty interesting game as well, because you had that secondary pad that you can use. I never really got too into it, only because when I was quite young, like 5 or 6, I didn't fully understand how to use the pad. But yeah, that's another game that's pretty remarkable for its time. Okay, let's do that, and let's see what we got here. So we need that. What abilities do we have on right now? God power, God body, divinity armor. We don't really need that. We'll hold on to some of those and we'll use these guys. Okay, boost evasion, attack power, mind energy, defense, and accuracy by 15 when equipped. Oh, it's actually not too bad. I don't need the mind stuff, but I'm gonna hold on to that. Maybe I can trade this for something else. Okay, let's use some of these items while we're here. Item, we'll use the HP materials, and we'll use the evade materials. Now we don't need that spiritual shield, so let's sell that. And get a little bit more money in the bank. Okay, we got 2 scape dolls, and we got a mono grinder. We don't really need that. We'll hold on to the tri grinder. Let's dump that in the bank, and we'll dump off the Meseta, and let's go back and finish off Falls. $32K, okay. Yeah, I think some of the smaller games went as low as 4K, though. I'm pretty confident, because there were some very simplistic games on that system. But yeah, thinking about that by today's standards, it's really hard to imagine. Like, even for Super Nintendo, like, think about it. They had fully realized games like what was my favorite Super Nintendo? Final Fantasy 2 for Final Fantasy 4 for other people. That's a fantastic game. It's a huge game as well. There's a few side quests which make it interesting, but I mean, the game's a mega and a half. Can you imagine doing anything with a mega and a half of space nowadays? It's almost unfathomable. But it's just a sign of the times, even for Nintendo. Like Final Fantasy, the original, again, a huge open world game, or The Legend of Zelda, huge open world game. And those games were, I think, about 450K in size. So again, pretty remarkable what people were doing at the time with such limited technology, such limited games. I'm curious what the 7800 had in terms of space, because I think they were an 8-bit system, if I remember correctly. I've never had a 7800, but if I remember correctly, it's 8-bit. So I don't know if it went up to 400K in size, but I do know that the games were not very good, to say the least. I played a few emulations of them, and I can definitely see why that system failed. I do like a lot of Atari products. Oh, for fuck's sakes. The Atari Lynx in particular, I think, is a really fantastic, underrated system. But again, it's oh, come on, get out of here. Come on. It's a bit of a battery hog, which is a huge deterrent for a lot of people. Also, it is a bit large. Like, it's not, unless you really want to send out a flag that you like like the Atari Lynx. It's going to be difficult to play that in incognito on a streetcar or a bus or something like that. Oh, come on. Damn it. Ah, shit. Okay, now False is probably going to land right on me too, right? Ah, come on. Am I at least going to be able to pick up my weapon? Okay, sweet. Alright, let's do what we can to False here. And the least we can do is we can take out some of these little copters that are coming out. Okay, come on. He's going to change. There we go. Generally, these two evolutions aren't too bad. It's always the next ones that cause a lot of grief. Alright, let's chase them down. I guess these guys have gone on a full run too, because I think they've been playing for quite some time. They must have started from the forest and made it all the way to Falls. It's pretty fantastic. I guess it's not going to harm me because of the armor that I have on. I can't remember. I think the ring that I was given is going to prevent a lot of the damage happening from that specific attack. Alright, I gotta reposition myself so I can actually hit him. Boom, boom, boom. And am I doing any damage? I think those guys are getting in the way. Alright, sweet. He's on the move, so let's keep going. Maybe we can... Okay, this auto hit is... Or auto aim, rather, is getting a little frustrating. Okay, and I'm at 87, so... Who knows, I might be able to get to 100, at least in the next... Oh, sweet. Oh no, he's gonna crush us all. Alright, we've been doing pretty well at surviving the falls in the final evolution, especially now that we're buffed. And I suspect Falls is probably not going to target me. I hope not anyway. But even if he does, I've got some pretty decent armor for the dark enemies. And this particular weapon seems to do okay when I'm well buffed. So hopefully we can stick around for a bit and actually defeat Falls without dying too much. Okay, and those are going towards Lucid, I assume, because I think they auto hit with the strongest enemy. Don't quote me on that. Our strongest character. Okay, so I'm at 96. Maybe I can actually use one of my photon attacks on him. Okay, let's just try and tag him as much as possible. Bang, bang, bang. Ah, damn, my rhythm's off. Okay, no big deal. Alright, and Lucid is taking the brunt of those hits. So let's just reposition ourselves again. And here we go. Let's launch our mag. Just for some fun. Why not? Bang. Wow, did I take him out with the mag? Epic kill. Falls, death by moose. I love it. Sweet. Cool. Well, that was a good round. I'm shocked. Now, granted, my character was well buffed, so I'm not going to assume that that was all me, but it's still really good to know that it can last so long against Falls. Let's see if there's any good stuff they left behind. Okay. Resetta. What do we got here? Anything good? Divinity armor. Resetta. Wouldn't it be nice to get a nice little Heaven Punisher or something to that effect? I don't think we're gonna have any luck. Nope. Alright, let's just see what that weapon was. You know what? Let's just grab it all. We're gonna go back to Pioneer anyways. And let's just hawk it. Get some money back. start building up our kitty outside of our bank deposit. Cool. Well, that was a lot of fun. Alright, so let's go to... Let's sell some of this stuff, and then I'm going to go to the Garon. Oh no, I need somebody to start that quest. Okay, I'm going to ask whoever's the quest host to start that up. Okay, sell. Yes, what do I got for armor right now anyways? I have the God Shield and the Guard Wave. Okay, so we do not need any of this stuff. Still, it's good to have when you need to get some Masetta. So buy. Inventory is full. Alright, cool. Well, it looks like everybody's dipping out. Good game, everyone. Cool. So I think I've played with Joker in the past. In fact, I think Joker watches the stream if I remember correctly. Don't know Baku Retsu. Okay, you know what? Let's get rid of our mag over here. Let it take a little bit of a nap in the bank. And that way it won't lose any of its sync. And let's go back to Pioneer, and I'm actually going to start up my own quest. And I'm going to try going to the Garon shop again and see if I can use some of these photon points. I don't remember the exact way to do it, but I'm pretty confident. Now, there was no quest, so there's no point in talking to the guild host. I'm pretty confident that you just go to Organize, Create Team, PSO version 2, UGB, Ultimate. Cool. I think you just go to the weapon shop, if I remember correctly. So I'd really like to augment my Yasminkov and Heaven Punisher, hopefully. But more importantly, the Yasminkov, because that's a decent weapon to have. And especially if I can buff up some of the attributes on, like, what was it? VR? It's an event, right? Garon's shop. There we go, right here. Like in the ruins, in the mines, maybe the forest. Hard to say. It seems this quest can upgrade items according to both the original and new item statistics. Does your game disc have the... Yes. Items will upgrade according to new statistics. Okay, cool. So, we are in the right area. So let's go to the shop here. I believe... Hello, Ranger. I'm Garon, the trader. I take a look at the services offered by my employees. I'm sure they'll see that they are bargain priced. By the way, I have a service of my own to offer. I'll upgrade any of your Red Series weapons for you. What do you say? Are you interested? Tell me more. I found that the series of weapons owned by Riku Tyrell are quite popular. So for 50 photon points for each 20%, I will upgrade them to 3 percentages on each of your weapons, on one of your weapons. Okay. Alright, well, we've got a 99 right now in our S rank. Don't worry, it's worth it. Okay, so let's see. Let's see what that will do. Okay, what do you say? Sure, let's see what they do. Okay. I don't have any of those, do I? Okay, no big deal. Okay, come on, get out of here. No. No thanks. Okay. Okay, Don't take any offense there, buddy. Okay, what can I do for you? Purchase services, okay. We have, what weapons do we have anyway? We have our handgun, our Heaven Punisher, we have our Yasminkov. Okay, so let's... Oh, it's the wrong Yasminkov. Okay, purchase services. What can I do for you? Purchase services. Yes. Ranger. Now, is it a rifle or a mech gun? Oh, okay, right here. Nope, wrong one. Maybe I should actually look at which one I have. I think it's the 3000. Let's just double check. Okay. No, okay. Okay, quit. Now we do have the Heaven Punisher. We could boost that up. Yeah, why not? So dark for sure. Machine and beast. Okay. Yeah, sure, why not? Cool. Alright, we'll do our Yasminkov next time. We always get photon points. So let's item pack, items. So, okay. That's already 30, 30, 30 anyways. Not a big deal. What's our Heaven Punisher at? Cool. Alright, so you know what? We made the right move. I didn't even realize this was 30, 30, 30. So, must have been upgraded when Kuro gave it to me. Right on. Well, we upgraded our Heaven Punisher, so that's pretty cool. Not the best Heaven Punisher, but no, at least it's sort of 211. You know, it gives us a couple of different options next time we play. Alright, let's go back. Now that we've upgraded our Heaven Punisher and used some of those photon points, let's go back to Pioneer. Let's just see if anybody's around. It seems like everybody's kind of logging off for the night, so maybe we'll just say our goodbyes. But yeah, let's check it out, see if anybody else is still playing. Had a nice round out in the... Okay, it looks pretty empty. Let's see what kind of quests are going on. Organize, join, ground up very hard. Let's just see who's playing actually. Guild card, choice search. Okay, don't know these people. Right on. Cool, so I guess they're building up whoever's at level 57. Okay. Alright. Well, let's just jump into that game just to say we did. Actually, I don't know if I'll be able to. Only because it is 11 o'clock here in Toronto, and I have to work. But tomorrow is Friday, and I'm going to see about maybe playing Quake. But the other thing I was thinking of now, tell me what you think about this. I was thinking about starting up something called Full Frame Friday, and what that is basically do the same thing that we're doing with the game screen, except full frame bad movies that I enjoy. And you know, there's just days where I just don't really have a whole ton of energy, but don't mind throwing a movie on in the background. I was like, what kind of fun would it be to just throw on a movie in the background? We'll do the same setup with the live streaming and stuff like that, and maybe you guys can just experience some of the bullshit that I watch. Maybe you'll get a kick out of it, maybe you won't. But you know, let's try that Friday. I'll reconfigure the OBS stream and see if I can get it running off of VLC or something like that. We can give it a try. So that's just one of the ideas I have. And I'm also working on another channel right now for some other odds and ends as well. Won't be related to this channel, but again, I've got some ideas that I think might be quite interesting. So since those guys are in quest, and unfortunately I gotta go right now, I figured to show you some of the other odds and ends I picked up. Now I did mention it was quite quiet out there, but I did find some cool shit. So found the Blu-ray Shout Factory copy of The Howling, which has some great creature effects with the werewolf. Also found these two kind of trippy movies. I don't know anything about them, but I was like, yeah, I can't pass it up. It's like a BBC 1966 version of Alice in Wonderland and a double feature from Something Weird Video, which I have this trailer collection from Something Weird and it's fucking fantastic. Also got this, which I'm going to rip and put on the channel like I've been doing with some of my other VHS copies, but it looks ridiculous. It's just called Goblin Fever 2, cost me $0.25, sealed, if that means anything to you, and it's a hunting video on turkeys. So we'll see what that's all about. In terms of PC stuff, I haven't really found anything else game related, but did find something cool anyways. Discworld Noir, so that's the full version. I've never played it, but I hear it's a fantastic game. And my favorite Grand Theft Auto game, I don't know if other people enjoy this as much as I do, but of all the Grand Theft Autos, I should really play Grand Theft Auto 4 at some point, but I love Vice City. I've only played it on PS2, but got a complete copy of the PC version. Didn't cost $19, it only cost $4, so that's not too bad. And I don't know if I showed you guys these before. These are older pickups, but they kind of got lost in the shuffle. And it's the complete deluxe edition of Rise of the Triad, which I'm sure most of you have played. It's an extremely fun game. I used to play that all the time in high school. And this, just because I couldn't pass it up. It's, what year is this? We're looking at 1994, and it's the Sports Illustrated Swimsuit Calendar Maker. So it gives you a little program where you can take all these clip art images of, I guess, swimsuit models from 1994 and make your own stunning. Let me read the thing on the front. Features the famous Sports Illustrated swimsuit models in more than 70 stunning photos on CD-ROM. So I guess you just take some random photos and build your own calendar. Anyways, it looked like fun. So I might actually try and fire it up. I probably have to go through DOSBox, I'd imagine. I don't think I can install that on my even Windows 7 computer, which is generally pretty good with a lot of older software, but you just never know. So anyways, that's it right for now, guys. Thanks for watching. I had a lot of fun with this game. And it's kind of nice that we were able to use some of those photon points so we can build up our collection again and maybe find something to put it towards. Like, I don't know if you can use them towards armor or anything like that. I am on the hunt right now for a PSO versus guide. Like I said, those went up in price overnight to ridiculous prices, and from what I understand, you can actually find similar material. Well, not similar material, like it's all online, and you don't necessarily need it, but I like those tangible things. I think I showed you my Shenmue guide that I got recently, and I also have finally found a guide for Soul Reaver, which is an all-purpose guide, and I have the Grandia 2 guide as well. So I don't know, I just like my game guides. I actually do have the GTA 5 hardcover limited edition guide, but I'd like to get 4. I've heard 5 is pretty bad. I haven't played 4 yet. It's just another one of those big open world games I just can't get around to. So maybe one day, maybe one day. Anyways, again, thanks for watching, everyone. I will talk to you soon. Take care.